Hello, citizens of YouTube land.
Hey.
It's your president and your VP, and we're back once again with another episode of
The month of Halloween horror.
This time it's
Alien.
Premiered May 25th, 1979. It was produced on a budget for $11 million. It made $106 million at the box office.
Yeah.
It has a Rotten Tomato score, for those of you who'd like to know, of 98%.
Which I don't agree with, because it should have a 100%. Rotten Tomatoes, what the heck are you thinking?
It was directed by Ridley Scott, and its main stars are Sigourney Weaver and Lance Henriksen.
Yeah. Those are some pretty big names.
They are. Definitely in the sci-fi genre, as well as in the horror genre.
Yeah. So, let's get started. The film opens up with this big, cool one-shot. I think it's a one-shot. Which, by the way, back then, it's very rare to have one-shots, but still, it's cool. So it opens up with this big one-shot, showing us the interior of the ship and the outer part of the ship when it cuts out to the outer part. Which, by the way, they used a miniature for that, so it's really cool. And the ship's name is the Nomostrom. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but I know that if I'm not, you guys will correct me in the comments below.
Which is fine. You know, if you're a visitor here, you're a visitor here to YouTube land. But if you are a visitor, it's easy to become a citizen. All you have to do is hit that subscription button below. It's that simple.
So now, then the camera pans into this room where we have five members of the ship in cryosleep. There's the captain, then there's Ripley, there's Ash, and then there's Kane. And I forgot who the other person was, so honestly, it doesn't matter.
Well, it probably does.
It was the African-American dude.
I was just about to say that. It was the token black guy.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's exactly what he was.
Hey, at least he doesn't die first in this film.
No, he doesn't.
So anyways, let's get on to this. So they wake up from cryosleep because they hear this signal from a moon of a distress signal. But that's what it seems to be at first.
Yeah, it's the computer called Mother that deactivates the stasis, which requires for them to respond to the distress signal. Now, one of the main points, though...
Hold on. I just remembered something. There's actually 6 people. There's also another girl on the ship.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we can't forget about that. This movie was... And the day and age of diversity that we hear so much about how so many things need to be diverse. Well, Alien is a pretty diverse film. You've got a couple of women, you've got men, you've got an African American, so you're kind of covering all the bases there.
And you have something else, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Anyways, so then they go down to this moon and they investigate it. Where then they are like exploring the ship, and then they see the space jockey. I gotta talk about this thing for a second, because this thing is so cool, and I can't believe that it's like they made this thing without CGI. Like that's one of the main purposes. This was all practical effects, and it was made with CGI, and unfortunately we don't have it anymore because some religious weirdos set the space jockey on fire because they thought it was the work of the devil.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
really sad, because I would have loved to bought this thing online.
I will also say that in this day and age of where we have all this CGI and how this film looks from 1979, it's very apparent that Hollywood needs to maybe go back and take a look at things like this and see what really worked, because this film looks so much better than most of what we have today.
I know, right? And say what another classic we'll be covering on the month of Halloween horror, but we'll get to that one in just in the near future.
We'll tell you guys about the upcoming episodes at the end.
Yeah.
So, they go down to the moon and the spaceship, and they find, like he said, the creature that was in what I can only assume to be a command chair of the spaceship.
And
they're right.
Sorry. So they're like exploring the space jockey, and then they see like this hole of where something came out. Now that is the first clue that there's something up about this distress signal, because there's a dead space jockey, and then there's a hole of where something came out, so something's not quite right, and that's our first hint to that.
So they are rifling around and investigating what's happened and whatnot, and they come across these egg-like structures, and one of them pops open.
Yep, and then a face hugger jumps out and attacks the guy and attaches itself to his face.
And manages to get in underneath his helmet, and they bring it's Kane, by the way, and they bring Kane back to the spaceship where they're going to attempt to treat him. Well, Ripley, who's on board, says, "Nuh-uh, we're not doing this. This is against quarantine protocol." That should sound a little familiar to some of us out here, right?
Well, in this instance, it's actually, I think it's justified that they follow quarantine protocol, because it's like, they don't know what this thing is. For all they know, it could be an alien, which that's exactly what it is. But still, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't know what the alien is.
So she's like, "Nuh-uh, this ain't happening." But her commanding officer is like, "Hey, you need to let us in. That's an order." And she says, "I understand and I heard, but it's a negative." So Ash overrides Ripley and allows them back on board the ship.
Yeah, there's a button. I remember this from the Alien Isolation game. Fun game, by the way. You should play if you ever get the chance. But I remember it from the Alien Isolation game that there's this button. It's a red button that all they have to do is press it, and then it overrides everything in the system. It's actually kind of neat and cool. But I remember that from the Alien Isolation game.
So they brought they bring Kane back onto the ship, and they attempt to help treat him. And
I'll be back.
They saw the helmet off, and they realize that it's this creature that's attached to his face. And he's still able to breathe because the creature's doing the breathing for him. But what the creature's actually doing is, it's impregnating him. I know, right? So,
I'm pretty sure that's an allegory for something, but, you know.
It's an allegory for men.
I know.
It's supposed to make men terrified.
Yeah.
Because of what the creature looks like when they turn it around.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't really say exactly what it looks like, but for those of you who have seen it...
It's a cool allegory, actually. It's very clever.
Pretty much know what it looks like, or what it's supposed to represent.
I know, and, you know, this whole part of the film, the allegory, it's actually really cool. Nice, subtle allegory. I didn't really catch that until just now.
So, yeah, they attempt to cut the thing, and it bleeds. So, but the blood is corrosive acid, probably hydrochloric acid.
Because that is the most corrosive acid.
Now, you might be wondering, how could the creature possibly tolerate the acid? Well, the explanation is simple. It's evolution. Because we humans have acidity in our own stomach, but our stomachs don't rot open, do they? So there's your explanation for that.
Yeah.
So getting back to it, a few hours go by, and they're discussing what they should be doing. Now, the black guy, I forgot his name, but he's mainly interested in his money. Because the whole thing was all about overtime and money, and that was his whole thing. And that they were going to give him bonuses and whatnot, and a share in the mineral ore operation.
Because the Nomostrom, it's a commercial ore, it's a commercial mining ship. That's what it is. And they just got done with their mining operation, and that's why they were heading back to Earth. And then because it's in their contracts that they have to investigate a signal that could have intelligent life.
Yeah, so as I said, they're discussing what happens, and then one of them says, "Hey guys, you better come and see this." Well, turns out Kane's up alive and talking and walking, and he doesn't remember what happened and everything. And so then they go to eat.
Before that, the facehugger had actually fallen off, and then it died, and then they see it, and then you see what's supposed to be its organs, and then, as Dad said, it looks like something else, but we can't talk about it in the video here. But you kind of get what we're saying. So, anyways, get on with the dinner scene.
So they, excuse me. So they decide that they're going to eat, and they're all eating and chit chatting and talking and everything. But Kane, he starts shaking violently and like he's choking.
Yeah.
And so they get him on the table and whatnot.
And then he's like having like extreme pain, and and you kind of like
And
see
his chest is starting to kind of bulge and pulsate a bit.
Yeah, and then you like see blood a little bit, and the reactions on the actors and actresses' faces, those are real, because they legitimately thought this guy was dying, because they didn't realize how extreme the reaction would be in the final cut of when they filmed this.
So then the alien creature thing just
boom
pops out, and
this thing is ugly looking.
It's gnarly looking, and it kind of runs off, and they like, don't touch that thing, and they were going to kill it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But and that's what I would have done.
Ash stops them from killing it.
And that's what I would have done, though. Like, they had, like, a frying pan, and they were going to, like, bash that thing in. It's like, no, don't kill it.
So, it runs off, and then it kind of, it grows up.
Yeah, and, again, it's another, like, I think it's, like, another, like, few hours that it grows up. So this thing's, so the growing up of this thing is actually very fast. And then, like, we don't actually see the xenomorph that often. Like,
No, that is one thing that they did very well. They kind of hid it in the shadows and didn't really show exactly everything about the xenomorph. And that really works to the film's advantage.
Yeah.
To help create this heightened fear of claustrophobia and paranoia. And because you don't know where it's at. And they deduce that it's in the ventilation systems. So they go to try to flush it out.
So yeah, the captain, he goes to try to flush it out. And then he's like, close all the vents behind me. And by the way, I hate these freaking things from the Alien Isolation game again. But I'm getting off topic. So yeah, so they close all the vent doors and stuff. And then you see that he's trying to flush out the alien. Then the alien's like, so, do you know the surprise meme? He's like, surprise, mother effer.
Yeah, and unfortunately he's killed. Now Ripley does some investigating and whatnot while the alien continues to do its thing. And she finds out from Mother that they were actually purposefully sent there to get the alien. And that Ash knew about it all along.
And also there was like the distress signal wasn't actually a distress signal.
It was actually a warning to stay away.
It was a warning to stay the heck away. It's like, there's something here, you don't want it, stay the heck away.
So Ash attacks Ripley, and then another crew member comes in, and
it's the African American dude.
He comes in and he attempts to get Ash off of her, and so he has to resort to basically bludgeoning Ash in the head. Well, Ash's head just comes off. Ash is a robot, everybody.
He's an android. Whoops.
Yep. And
then
Ash's head explains to him that he was, sent there to make sure that this happens and everything. And he basically taunts them and tells them, well, you're all doomed.
Yep. So then basically Ash, he kind of goes through a self-destruct system, and he kind of just went, he died, and Ash dies. So
yeah, and the African American unfortunately gets a pretty bad death too. But like he said, he wasn't the first, like so many others.
Yeah, I think he gets the tail impalement, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
The xenomorph comes from behind him because he sees the cat, and then the cat's like, no, I see what's going on back there. No.
Yeah, the cat.
The cat sees the xenomorph. He's like, heck no. And then the African American dude, he's like, what's going on? And then, boom.
So after it's all said and done, we're down to just Ripley and her pussy. Cat, that is. Against the alien.
Yeah. So Ripley, she was successful from escaping the Nomostrom, which went through its self-destruct system, which Mother, the computer, had activated. And so she's out, and she thinks she's out of the way, and she's activating everything and stuff. And then the alien is, you can see the alien a little bit, but it's not clearly enough. And so it turns out that the alien had actually snuck on board with Ripley, and was probably going to kill her when she went into cryosleep. And then she's like, "All right, it's time to go." Then,
so she manages to open a vapor lock chamber, basically, and sucks the alien out into outer space.
With the harpoon gun, and then the alien tries going through the jet system, and she's like, no. And she activates the jets, and then it basically burns the xenomorph alive.
Mm-hmm.
Killing the xenomorph and thinking that she's safe until aliens.
Well, yeah, until aliens. But we'll get to that at another point. So yeah, guys, that was the movie. It is definitely, for final rating time, it is definitely a 5 out of 5. What say you?
Also a 5 out of 5. This is a classic. If you haven't checked it out, you should. It's available on Amazon Prime, but unfortunately you have to rent it. So, but actually in it would be 10 days now. It'll be available for
free. If you have Hulu Premium, you can watch it right now as well. It'll be available on regular Hulu beginning November 1st.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So, yeah, guys. But, of course, if you think that Alien is the worst film that was ever made, well, you're wrong. But, hey, just remember, we're just two idiots with a cell phone camera. Our opinions do not matter, except they actually do, because we have a YouTube show, except they actually don't. So, having said all that, we'll just have to say that next time we'll see you guys, it will be
Tremors.
And then after that, it's going to be Predator 2, followed by Aliens, then The Thing from Another World, then The Thing.
Yeah, then to end it all off, we're going to do John Carpenter's The Thing.
So, we'll see you guys next time, and there's only one thing left to say, and that is peace and love from Denny and Son. Bye!